Hey, what's going on, guys? Ragin Reno here. Today I'm going to talk about three different topics. First, I want to talk about how to play better on Summit on respawn game mode. Second, I want to talk about how to get more kills in CODM. Third, I want to talk about how to improve personal gun and movement skill. And I'm going to break this into three sections. And I'm going to go ahead and rewatch this gameplay with you and discuss it as it's happening. Try to tell you what's going on in my mind as I'm playing. So right off the bat, I'm trying to get into position. I go to P1. I get a couple kills and I get killed from the top. Now on Summit, for most of the points, the top's going to be the most crucial and advantageous spot, so you want to control the top as much as possible. And now the reason why this is because on the top you actually have access to both spawn points. Usually on any hardpoint map there's going to be about 4 main spawn points, and of course there's always going to be one that's closest to the hardpoint, and that's the anchor roll's job. So the second level of control room number 2, or the second level of P1, is crucial because on hardpoint the spawns will flip aggressively. If you go into where the enemies are spawning and kill them on the back, they're more than likely to flip to the other side, especially if your whole entire team's in the OBJ or they're also with you killing them in their spawn. They're guaranteed to flip. And so why this matters is because you have very quick access to where the enemies will spawn on either side of the map during P1. And when you have quick access to where the enemies are spawning, that means you have quick, easy kills. Usually when people spawn, they whip out their melee, they whip out a pistol, some kind of secondary, maybe even a grenade or a tactical. And so the best kind of a gunfight to get into is one where the enemy is at a disadvantage, where they don't have their gun out, they're not aimed in, they're not shooting, they're not even ready for a gunfight. So you can get easy, quick kills this way. And so as I'm playing P2, my logic is very similar to how I play P1. I want to try to position myself to where I can kill them off spawn. And right here my gun skill gives out, unfortunately, and my movement skill, but I know my team's spawning on this side because when they die, they spawn back on that side of the map. But if they were to spawn on the other side of the map, then I know the spawns flips, so that would mean that I'm in the enemy spawn now and I could go wreak havoc. But again, the best vantage point for P2 is the second level, because you also have quick, easy access to both spawn, and the spawns on P2 on Summit are virtually the same as P1. They will typically spawn on the same side as the catwalk as P2 on either side of it, but the only P2 spawn that's different from P1 is the edge of the map where the stairs are, where A-bomb is on S&D. Sometimes people will spawn there and they'll come through mid, they'll maybe even go through the doors or something, or maybe go up top, so you have to watch that. And so now we're about halfway into P3, and I know they're spawning through the doors because we have the spawn currently. Eventually they do flip the spawn, but since I know they're spawning through the doors, I'm kind of just watching that area popping out every so often to try to get more kills. And that's a very crucial tip, is to make sure that you're popping out. Don't just slowly walk in the area, don't stand in the doorway. You want to go back and forth from being visible to not visible. That way when you pop out, you want to make sure you're aimed in and ready to shoot as you're popping out. So I recommend running and sliding out into the doorway to check and see if anybody's there, and if there is someone there, you're already aimed in and ready to shoot. That'll ensure that you get more kills and less deaths. And then of course, if you have to reload or if you're hurt, you want to slide away to cover. Now I didn't get time to fit it in, but the spawns actually flipped. All my teammates started spawning towards the next point, which is good because they were able to lock down the neck. But I was able to take out my specialty because I knew that the spawns had flipped and all the enemies were spawning on me. So I actually got 1, 2, 3, 4 kills. I slid out of the point as I was switching to the next one and got a fit, and then I started watching the edge, try to lock down the 4th and final point. This is the final point of Summit, and then after this one it just repeats. It's the same 4 that repeat. Now for P3, the best positioning is in front of the doors where the enemy is going to be spawning, or you could even go into the catwalk next to control room number 2. Both of these positions will be able to capture the enemies as they're spawning and running through the doorways. You can't even position yourself in the anchor side behind the point on the cable car catwalk, because sometimes they will run through the doorway, down the stairs, and go through the catwalk area. And then for P4, it's very simple. You pretty much just have 3 positions. You have the edge, you have the container, and then you have the very back spawn behind the point. You control those 3 areas and you'll win more games and you'll kill more people. And so everything I'm talking about in this video pretty much applies to every other hardpoint and to domination. The only caveat is that some maps actually have more points than others. For example, Shoot House has 5, I believe, and then Summit only has 4. But the general logic behind all of it is that you want to know the points, you want to know where the spawns are for each point, and then you want to be able to control the points. You want to be able to control the spawning. You want the enemies to have the bad spawn always, but then you want to also know how to position yourself to get easy kills while they're being spawned. And if you can find some advantageous spots like head glitches, or maybe laying down, or maybe even some weird line of sights or something like that to help you win more gunfights, all the more better. But as long as you're starting with getting those easy spawn kills, then you're already going to be playing better at respawn. And so that's section 1, how to play Summit better. Section 2, a general idea of how to play respawns. So now let's talk about Section 3, how to personally improve your gun and movement skill. So the first thing that I recommend is to get your sensitivity settings just right, to where you can swipe your screen and it'll do a 180. If you can't turn it a 180 degree with one swipe of the thumb, then your sensitivity is not right. Once your sensitivity is fixed, you're going to want to try to make everything hard on yourself. So you want to put on the worst attachments for your gun to make the recoil really bad, and then you're also going to want to take off your perks. You want to make your character slow, you want to make your gun hard to aim, and then you want to start playing private matches or scrims against people that are better than you, because when you play against people that are better than you, it's going to inadvertently make you a better player.
He had more to say for each section, but I ran out of time. Comment below if you want a video dedicated to improving personal gun and movement skill. Thanks for watching.